What's up, fam? Hey, everybody. It's the NFT Roundtable, a podcast by Umba Daima. It is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, and I'm your host, Iris Nevins. Today, I'm speaking to Ikechi Nwabuisi, founder and CEO of TRiBL, a decentralized money pooling app for Black, Latin, and immigrant groups. Welcome to NFT Roundtable. How's it going today?
Thank you for having me here, Iris. Excited to be here. It's going great. Every time I get to talk to you, it's a great time.
Yes. We do be having some great conversations and we align on a lot of things. Our missions are very much aligned. So it's been a pleasure watching you grow in the space. And I'm shocked it actually took so long to get you on the podcast. That's my fault. My apologies.
Yeah, no doubt. It's the right timing. It's definitely the right timing for me to be here. So excited to discuss.
I agree with that. All right, so let's get into it. Tell our listeners who Ikechi is. You know, where are you from? What do you do? And how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny now because, the more like podcasts and stuff you do, it's like, how do you make your intro less robotic? I've said the same thing on so many different occasions. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, my name is Ikechi. I'm the founder of TRiBL. I'm actually born and raised in Houston, Texas, to Nigerian immigrants. They definitely gave me the entrepreneurial bug. Um, I've been working here in the tech space since 2016. Also was introduced to crypto around that time. Um, Primarily my interest, being a Nigerian immigrant, I was really interested in remittances. For a bigger picture I had, obviously, as we get deeper into the story of TRiBL. And so I was really interested into crypto. I think Ripple was really hot at that time. Stellar was like coming along. And by getting into that, kind of just got deeper into the space. Fast fast forward a few years and Web3 becomes a thing. I end up in a group chat with yourself, and we both got exposed to Mika breaking the record for NFT sales on a platform in a day on Nifty Gateway, and been super deep in the Web3 since. TRiBL's entire mission kind of evolved into Web3 pretty naturally, and so that's a little bit about me.
All right. So let's talk about TRiBL. What is TRiBL?
So TRiBL is a decentralized social money pooling platform for Black, Latin, and immigrant groups. We like to brand ourselves as the people's BlackRock. And ultimately, what we've built is a mobile app that enables you to pool money with your tribe or pool money with your friends to acquire assets. What's been people have been most excited to pool their money around is for NFT projects, blue chip NFT projects that maybe we can't afford on our own, and especially in this market, really being able to have the opportunity to go acquire these digital assets while they're at a price at a low price, with the expectations that over time they will raise. And this is not financial advice, in case I have to say that.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what is TRiBL trying to accomplish? Like, why do all this?
Yeah, for sure. TRiBL was inspired by the story of Black Wall Street. Um, Basically, I've been obsessing about how to recreate kind of like that Black Wall Street experience, where at the time the dollar was circulating for up to a year, enabling Black communities to build wealth. And today there's that stat that we've all heard a million times now about the Black dollar only circulates to the community for 6 hours. And for us, we wanted to create a platform that enabled us to change that. And so, like today, we don't have the full numbers yet, but no dollar has left our platform unless it was put into investing in an asset. And so, we've turned that 6 hours probably into 60 days. And our goal is by the end of 2023, ensuring that every dollar that comes into TRiBL sticks around in the community for at least 6 months.
Okay. So let's talk
Mhm.
about money pooling, because this is a word that I think is, it's not new, but it is new, right? So the
Yeah.
approach with TRiBL is to help people pool their money together. And
Hmm.
and so talk about like the power of that for Black people in particular, and why we need platforms like this versus, all the other traditional kind of means of investing.
Yeah, I think you know, there's a lot of forms of money pooling, right? People money pool for different reasons. Um, I think one of the ones that have become more popular lately, especially like if you're in this tech space, is crowdfunding, which really rose out of the need to Black and brown founders not having access to capital. And so, due to that, they've had to heavily rely on their own communities to contribute some level of capital to get them to a larger number that they're trying to reach. So in a crowdfunding campaign, the average check size might be a little bit closer to $500, but if you can go get $1,500 checks, that puts you in a better space than you trying to go out there and find a $500,000 check from someone who isn't in your network, doesn't know your family, doesn't know you from a can of paint. Um, and I think the bigger picture is, there are, as you grow in your profession and your career, whether as a founder or as a builder, you come to a place where, to fully pursue your ambitions, a lot of times you need to raise some level of capital. Or, there are a lot of opportunities out there that, from a barrier of entry perspective, make it so that you need a certain amount of capital just to get in the deal. You have to be able to write a 100K check, or the accredited investor thing is you have to have made $250,000 for multiple years or be a millionaire. And the element of money pooling allows you to now fractionalize some level of ownership into assets that maybe you couldn't acquire on your own, and like build community and learn while doing it.
Hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the most exciting pools that you have on the
Yeah.
TRiBL platform is the Doodle pool. Break down exactly what a pool is, and talk about this Doodle pool and why this was so exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to DT from Miami Tech Runs. He likes to say if a DAO is a group chat with a shared wallet or a bank account and cap table. And with that kind of framework, when you think about the product that we've built as TRiBL, then TRiBL is kind of like a Discord for DAOs. And ultimately, by design, we've made it so that pools or DAOs can be much more discoverable. And ultimately, we've layered a syndicate or an investor club directly on top of your group chat. So you can manage your investor club or your pool all in one place. And every pool, again, has its own cap table, has its own group chat, and then has a shared multi-sig wallet that you can manage your assets across both digital assets and fiat, but also make investments that you can track, knowing everyone's ownership stake in every single deal just being tracked right there in the platform.
So how does the people that are have pooled their money together in an asset,
Mhm.
how do they make decisions?
Yeah, so we have a polling feature directly in our app, so you can also run your own governance right there. And basically, before we go and make an investment, like you said, circling back to the Doodles example, we have an NFT collectors pool. We all put in $100 a month. We vote on various deals that we want to do. We have people who do some research, pull together the info, submit the info to the community, and then we host a poll. Um, Based on the results of the poll, we go look, see how much money we're going to need to actually go acquire the asset. So for the Doodles at the time, the floor price might have been like 11 ETH. Project was, was probably, the floor was probably around $17,000. And so we actually ended up raising nearly 20, and ultimately bought not only the Doodles project, but some of the other projects that they have on the side, including the Duplicator and the Genesis box. And from our platform, everyone can see their ownership stake, but everyone in our pool didn't have to have like a Web3 wallet set up per se. They were able to use their own TRiBL custodial wallet in app. Most people contributed with cash, so they didn't need crypto to join. We've kind of reduced the friction, kind of using this kind of Web 2.5 experience, enabling people to reduce the friction of needing a Web3 wallet and having to pay gas fees and all the other things that come with this kind of new world that we're entering into.
Okay. Let's talk about Doodles. Why
Yeah.
Doodles? And talk about the NFT, and it's a blue chip NFT. They've had some exciting announcements recently. For those that are listening, there people can people still join the Doodles pool?
Yeah, so we have a Doodles pool right now. It's probably about 4 spots left. Great question. When you talk about why Doodles, kind of like we like to take a step back and talk more about like a big piece of the thesis of our fund is around cultural commerce, right? And the efforts to ultimately close the wealth gap for Black and Latin communities. I think one of our big strategic advantages come in the form of cultural capital and social capital. And that's why Web3 was really that so exciting for us because, you know, you're already seeing, through NFTs, through this whole community idea, a way that now people are rewarding community behaviors or cultural and social capital with actual digital assets or tokens that can be cashed in for some sort of financial return. And so, with that being the case, NFTs are just a really exciting category for us. Really interested to see, what they can do in traditional cultural arenas like music, as an example. Um, and why Doodles is so exciting is because I remember being out in New York for NFT NYC. Uh, I was at this bomb ass event that Daima was throwing. And that weekend, the biggest noise of the weekend came from the Doodles, announcements that they made that day, right? I remember hearing all the buzz around, oh, they had gone out, they hired a Bloomberg executive to come and take over as CEO. They brought on Pharrell, I think, as their chief brand officer. Um, Obviously, Pharrell's a visionary. Has been doing a lot, not only like kind of in the fashion space and hearing about all the opportunities that Doodle wanted to kind of do across retail as well and get into music. Obviously, I think Pharrell's a great pipeline for that. I think they've actually recently announced Pharrell's actually going to make a whole Doodles album as well. And with that, I thought it'd be a really exciting project, extremely credible. Already had done, a certain volume in transactions where, especially in this bear market, it was one of those opportunities that aligned mission wise and gave us an opportunity to buy low and sell high. And so we went after the Doodles. I think, again, like the first one we got, the combination of all the Doodles assets that we purchased were probably nearly 20K, which again, like understanding 2, 3 months earlier where the market was, like that's an extreme discount. So now we're actually, the price dropped again. And, I think in markets like this, people tend to panic. They see prices drop and they think like now's the time to sell. Whereas, our community really feels like it's just an opportunity to now again go buy additional assets after you kind of define that trust and belief in the mission of what the business is trying to achieve. The first ever NFT we bought, though, just to be clear, was actually the Aku project. So, of all the polls that we've ever done, just fun points of data about our community. Of all the polls we've ever done, the Aku poll that we put up got the most responses. And then when we acquired the Aku, and we tweeted out about our acquisition to the community, that's also our most engaged tweet today, and it's not even close. It's not even close. So,
Wow.
um, again, like, big believers in cultural commerce, big believers in cultural capital, and think our community especially is going to be the biggest beneficiaries, and want to build a platform that allows us to uh, really start translating financial into cultural and vice versa.
Hmm. Okay. So let's talk about some of the accomplishments of TRiBL. What are some wins that y'all have had lately? And I know that you've been featured in press. You have some partnerships in the
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Man. Well, we have been around for a bit. So TRiBL, we've been through Techstars. We've raised nearly $1 million. We right around the time when I met you, I again was connected to another guy you happen to go to college with, Kai, who's head of crypto over at Visa. And very quickly after we all got thrown into that group chat, we had a partnership with Visa. So that was amazing. That kind of opened up doorways for us to get connected to Circle, which allowed us to develop a partnership with Circle as well. Um, we kind of were first to market because we were building TRiBL before Web3 was a thing, with this kind of decentralized social money pooling platform. And that's been, frustrating, but also really exciting just because seeing where the market's moving, it's kind of like we're at this inevitable place where, venture dollars ultimately will crash into products and positionings like ours, especially with the cultural relevance that I think is being validated through this Web3 experience. But
Hmm.
I think the coolest part about everything that we do and all the work are the people that we've been connected to and the people that we get to work with. So, being able to work with you, Iris, in a multitude of ways. We like to call all our customers LPs. Anyone who's joined the pool, LP, and we have multiple Techstars founders in our community. VC from Coinbase, VC from Meta, you know, VPs of Web3 companies that have raised at over $100 million valuations, Black founders who have raised over $10 million. A lot of really dope people. And I think that's the whole thing, going back to the vision of Black Wall Street. I think we have the benefit to start redesigning that. And it all starts with us and the networks that we're already connected to.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about how people can access the app. What's the steps?
Yeah, for sure. You can go to our website, jointribal.com, or Twitter, join tribal, Instagram, join tribal, and there will be a link to go to the App Store, iOS or Android. We're on both. We're on both platforms. We're available. We're not doing the whole Clubhouse thing. It's not going to take us 2 years to get it to market. Uh, but today you can go to the App Store, you can download TRiBL, you'll create your account. Again, we have our own custodial wallet built in, so you can activate your wallet, and there will be a multitude of pools that you can participate in today. Um, Primarily, most of the pools are equity based, but we have been hearing our community asking for more fixed income opportunities that ultimately generate some sort of
Hmm.
yield. And so, constantly on the lookout for more opportunities, whether in DeFi or in real estate, to help people ultimately continue to build wealth with people who look like them.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Nice, nice. And if what if someone? Well, first, there's multiple pools they can join, right? So, what are some of the pools they can join?
Yeah, so right now, pools that are open that we're talking about are the Doodles pool. Again, it's the second one we're going to acquire. We're probably about to roll out another blue chip NFT, but I have to wait for the votes to come through before we announce that. In addition, we are working with Financially Fits on Instagram. If you guys have heard of them, to actually launch a Bitcoin ATM pool. This will be one of our first fixed income opportunities that people can get in. And then we are also raising a syndicate for a private software company. Good friend of mine and Black founder who's raising $10 million. That deal is for accredited investors only, unfortunately, today. But probably one of the more exciting deals that people get access to. And again, it's just another example of like what cultural commerce looks like when executed properly.
Hmm. And what if someone has an idea for a pool or they want to launch one? What's the process?
Yeah, well, one, I want to talk to you, but it's pretty straightforward. You download the app, you create your account, and then like in the top left hand corner, you'll see this plus sign. If you tap on that, you can actually create a pool yourself. Add a description, set a monthly, quarterly, or a one-time contribution. You can create a fundraising goal or relevant milestones. And then upon myself approving the pool, I probably would want to talk to you just to confirm what you're actually raising for and see if there's ways I can help you better shape the opportunity. But it's pretty straightforward. You can create a pool in less than 5 minutes. Your pool goes live, and then all you got to do is share an invite link to get other people to join.
Nice. I love it. So simple and
Yeah,
streamlined.
yeah.
So, Web3. Before we
Hmm.
go, I want to get your thoughts on Web 3.0 as an industry.
Yeah,
Where do you think it's headed? There's lots of criticism, there's lots of hype, there's lots of excitement. There's folks that are on, polar opposite ends in terms of where they think this is going. And I'm curious, where do you think Web3 is headed?
yeah, yeah. So there's probably a two or three things I want to touch on with Web3. I want to say them out loud because I could talk all day about each one probably. So to start, my first like one liner is Web3 is just giving you um, a smidget of insight into what African culture and cultural practices can do for a community. Um, Two, I would say um, by the time the masses have adopted Web3 will be Web 2.5. And three, um, you know, Web3 is currently in a place that the internet was in when like the internet was purely like a back end kind of thing, right? A back end technology. Whereas today, when you think about the internet, you think about Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Google, and like that's the internet to you. We're still at a place in Web3 where those front end experiences don't exist, um, making it really difficult for everyone to understand how to get in where they fit in. And so going back to the first point, which I think was, around like, Web3 is ultimately showcasing like what African cultural practices do for a community. I say that because like community money pooling at its core is something that, Black and Latin communities have been doing for generations, um, whether out of the need of trying to save up money for groceries. There's this thing called a susu, where it's like everyone puts in $100 every month, and at the end of every month, like that total pool goes to one individual, and then the next month it goes to a different person, and next month it goes to a different person, and the impact economically that can have on a collective, and that whole behavior is very natural to our groups. Again, you think about acquiring assets, and a lot of times, whether you're looking to get a house or looking to start a franchise, like you need other people to go in on the deal with you. And so I think it's funny now, like Web3 is like this massive thing, and like SF and the VC world are like, this is freaking amazing, because it's like, yeah, man, like culture is something special, isn't it? And culture and community really being like the leading themes of this Web3 movement of sorts, uh, has now enabled me to add more clarity and reference existing things to kind of communicate the power of what we're building here at TRiBL. So that,
Got
that's
it.
my
Got it.
first piece for sure. Yeah, yeah.
I like that. I like that. We didn't get to go into the evolution of TRiBL, but I think that
Hmm.
explanation puts a lot of things into perspective.
Hmm.
And yeah, we should have you back in the future so you can actually break down the whole kind of journey of TRiBL and
Yeah,
all the different challenges that you faced to get to this point. I think you've definitely had a lot of perseverance, and I know there's a lot more stories there.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Horror stories, but we're here now, and so we're excited.
Ah,
We learned a
well,
lot on the
I'm
journey.
sure you got a lot.
Um,
Exactly. You got to share the lessons. I'm
yeah,
learning
yeah.
too.
We always going, it's only TRiBL to share the lessons and pass them down, pass them adjacent to yourself. One of the biggest things, like as a random offset note, but for founders who listen to this, like one of the most valuable things I've ever done as a founder was build relationships with other founders and talk to them on the regular, you know, like on a regular cadence, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, having founders in my network that I respect and that I trust and can just talk to, whether it's to vent, whether it's to think through strategic fundraising, experiences with employees, etc. Um,
Hmm.
and I really appreciate the network and the community of people that this journey has allowed me to build relationships with throughout the way. Um, and again, like it's just a bigger showcase on like what community is all about.
Agreed. And with that, thank you so much for joining us. It
Yeah,
was great to introduce you to our audience and cover your story. And congratulations on everything that you've accomplished so far. I'm really excited for TRiBL, and I think 2023 is going to be a great year.
yeah, yeah. No, thank you, thank you, thank you for having me. Uh, appreciate you guys for everything you're doing in the space as well. Thank you for holding my hand as I tried to learn more about NFTs along the way. And excited for future collaborations and work that we're going to get done.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's it, folks. I will see you next time. This is the NFT Roundtable podcast, a weekly podcast by Umpa Daima, and we will see you on the next episode.